Hello everyone, my name is Ian and I'm a City of London guide. I want you to have a look about you. You're standing in the bombed out skeleton of a church which is now a rather attractive public garden. This is, or rather was, Christchurch Greyfriars. Now, as you look around you, what you're looking at are the remains of Sir Christopher Wren's 17th century church. However, prior to that, there has been a church called Christchurch Greyfriars on this site since 1255. Now, the church was destroyed on the 29th of December 1940 in the infamous Blitz. The Blitz was a tactical attempt by Hitler and the Nazis to break the will of the British people by engaging in sustained aerial bombardment of British cities, primarily London, but other cities as well. The Blitz ran from September 1940 to May 1941, and included in that time were a terrifying 57 consecutive nights of sustained bombing here in London. During the period, 18,800 tons of high explosive were dropped by the Luftwaffe on top of British civilians. It was an absolutely terrifying time. So, back to the 29th of December 1940. On that night, the Nazis knew that the River Thames was at its low point, the tide was at its annual low point, and this meant that the water pumps used by the fire brigade would not work very well. They would be, in effect, pumping up sludge rather than water from the River Thames. Now that is a very good time to start a big fire in London, which is exactly what the Luftwaffe did. They flew over and then one night dropped 100,000 incendiary devices on top of the City of London. And one of them pierced the roof of this church, which would have been, of course, just above us. The incendiary device, the firebomb, crashed through the roof into the nave of the church and started a conflagration, and the building was laid to waste, along with most of the neighbourhood around it. In fact, 8 of our cherished churches, designed by Sir Christopher Wren, the famous 17th century architect, burned that night, the 29th of December 1940. Now, the Blitz was a complete and utter tactical failure for the Nazis. As I said, it was designed to break the will of the British people. In fact, it had the opposite effect. A sense developed of us all being in it together, a sense of togetherness, and we have to just get through it. It cemented national unity, helped in no doubt by the fact that we had a rather stubborn and obstinate old man in charge of the country at the time. I'm sure you've all heard of him, Sir Winston Churchill. Now, after the war, it was decided not to rebuild Christchurch Greyfriars, but to keep the remains just as they are. In fact, the remains are now Grade 1 listed, which means that they are protected by legislation and they cannot be redeveloped. And as I say, this is a nice place for city workers to enjoy their lunches, listen to their iPods, read the newspaper during their lunch hour. One thing to point out though, however, if you look up, you will see Wren's tower still standing proudly. It survived unscathed. It wasn't damaged, it wasn't destroyed that night. And today it is still in use. The ground floor is a dentist surgery, but the upper floors, believe it or not, are a very exclusive apartment, a very expensive apartment. The apartment covers 10 different floors. The owner is a lady who works for Goldman Sachs, the financial institution whose offices are just based over there. What a place to live if you could afford it. Anyway, thank you for your attention. I'd now like you to return to the 20 and 20 YouTube channel and select another one of our stops to watch.